That's exactly what Joe is doing right now. And we're back with another episode of the Lakers Fast Break podcast. It's Gerald Glassford coming right here at you for Lakers Fast Break, Pop Culture Cosmos, where we cover the latest news and trends in pop culture each and every week, twice a week, wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, also as well, Game Source and Inside Sports Fantasy Football. Of course, the great folks at Lakersball.com. Go ahead and check out Ox 1947 today at Lakersball.com. Plus, he's got a great company that you got to go ahead and check out if you live in the SoCal area and you need more help with your front lawn or back lawn or a lawn. It is SynBlades, SynBlades with a Y.com. Plus, our good friends at Lakerholics.com. Jamie Sweet and the number one Lakers blogger that's out there, Laker Tom. Go ahead and check them out today at Lakerholics.com. Our good friend John McCallion, go ahead and support him today on YouTube at the John McCallion channel. And of course, the hardest working man right now is Stone Hansen, because he and the guys from the Upside Swings NBA Draft Podcast are working extremely hard indeed to go ahead and get you the best info that they can right there for you at, of course, the Upside Swings NBA Draft Podcast. And one last note before we go ahead and say, of course, the usual stuff. Make sure you go ahead and tune in on Thursday. Live on the air will be the Los Angeles Lakers right there for you during the NBA draft. And we'll have the draft in full. We will have a simulcast on both playback.tv/Lakers Fast Break and, of course, YouTube, Facebook, and all of our great stops. We'll be all over the place for the NBA draft, so go ahead and follow us at 5 p.m. on Thursday Pacific time, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here at the Lakers Fast Break or Lakers Fast Break on playback. And if you can support all that, plus like, share, and subscribe, we need all the subscribers we can get so we can give you the latest notifications so when we go live on the air. And if you do, it's sincerely appreciated. PMC, what's up? Great to have you here. Captain of hashtag Team Replay. It's Gerald Glassford. Appreciate you watching, listening out there. It is, of course, the Lakers Fast Break, and all the news surrounds the NBA draft and all the moves and all the shakeups that could happen. We've already seen one major trade already. Could we see another? And could that involve the Los Angeles Lakers? That's the talk I hear. That's the talk I see. That's the stuff I see out there when it concerns the Los Angeles Lakers. So we're going to go ahead and talk today about that possibility. Is the Lakers getting a little bit itchy with a trigger finger to go ahead and pull off a trade? We'll talk about that. Plus, what are the Lakers looking forward and doing here in a couple of days? We'll talk about that as well. So, do you want to bring in the good man indeed? He's here today with me late night. Of course, you got to go ahead and check him out today at Lakersball.com. It's Ox1947. It is Joe Soro. Joe, great to have you here, my friend. Munching and crunching, of course. Late night with me here. I just wanted to go ahead and gauge your opinion on what's going on with the Lakers, because it's been very quiet today for the most part, outside of Kyle Kuzma declining the last year on his contract, so he'll become a free agent. We haven't heard too much going on, just the scuttlebutt around Damian Lillard, a little bit about Zion, what's going on there concerning the draft, and could he be traded for the number 2 or 3 pick? Damian Lillard, will his future stay in Portland? The thing is, though, all is quiet on the Lakers front. Do you think they're working out something more extensive? Do you think some big moves are possibly in play?
Well, the first bit of information on the new CBA ripples are now starting. So expiring contracts are probably going to be an interesting item here in the next few weeks. Nothing can be off the books on this one. There's been discussion with Mo Bamba and Beasley's money as a way of getting talent, as a way of doing certain things with it. I wouldn't sleep on that one. That's a pretty considerable number. It's $26 million. Rob has a lot of options here. He's going to have to kind of play a little bit of which part is he going to engage in first? Is he which part is he going to wait for someone to probably give him a call? How is the draft going to decide how those things come together? Could it be a expiring contract and the draft pick? Could it be some the Lakers picking someone to for another team? Could it be them dropping down and getting more picks? There's so many options here, which is why I think it's going to be a good couple weeks here in anticipation of what's going on. As far as Damian Lillard, I think there's really only one place he can end up. Otherwise, he just might as well stay in Portland, which is Miami. There's been some talk about how that process can work. Kyle Kuzma is going to be looking for max money. I don't know why anybody would give him max money, but I've seen crazier things before, like paying Bradley Beal almost $60 million.
Well, let me ask you this, my friend. He gave up 13 million on his contract to go ahead and be a free agent. Do you think he'll get more than that in the? That's not a max per se, but do you think at least he'll get more than 13 million a year?
I could see him getting 3 years for 60.
I could see him doing that too as well. I could see him getting around 18 to 20. If he wants more years, a 4 or 5 year pack, he might have to go ahead down to 15 to 17 million, but I could see him getting 20 for a 3-year deal.
And I think he stays in Washington. If Washington says we'll give you 4 years for 80, I think he stays.
Well, I ask you, my friend. I mean, I think it's all quiet. It's almost too quiet for the Lakers right now. You don't hear much in the way of rumors or innuendo. And that's usually not the way it goes here in Lakers land.
Well, sure it does. If when Mitch was in charge, he used to do his deals stealth-like, and that's a good thing.
Unless it's Timothy Mozgov.
Well, you can't. I think something else was behind that. That's my theory.
Dang.
Yeah, there was something else there that I believe was the culprit of it, and we'll never know either way. But it doesn't make sense for a guy that pulled off two of the more iconic trades. It's just that one of them was denied. The other one obviously ended up creating 3 straight finals appearances and 2 titles. Quiet is good. Quiet is not ruffling feathers within your organization as well as whomever you're working with. There are rumors starting right now, even today, about Paul George. There's rumors that Charlotte's going to pick Brandon Miller. A lot of these things are starting to come together here before the draft on Thursday. We're going to know a lot more on Thursday. I will tell everyone that's listening and those who listen on playback or replay, be ready for Thursday. I think there's going to be some fireworks on Thursday because there's going to be determinations that day on who and what will get traded, draft pick wise or not, and what will dictate the setup. So the word is, if Portland keeps the 3rd pick and drafts either Brandon Miller or Scoot Henderson, which again sounds like it might be Scoot, he's going to probably want out. And I'm kind of questioning why Charlotte would go to Brandon Miller when Scoot is a better player. That's from my assessment. What are they doing there? Are they doing that for LaMelo Ball? That's a big mistake. I told you guys. I told everyone. You never draft anyone other than best player available when it comes to the draft. When you draft based off need, especially that high in the draft, you are playing with fire. LaMelo Ball isn't one of those guys that's going to be loyal to the Charlotte Hornets. You better make sure you pick the right guys when you can. It's just one of those things we're going to find out on Thursday and see kind of where things kind of sway over.
Once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro along with me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for listening. Truly appreciate it. Wanted to ask you real quick on this, though, when it comes to what I've been seeing as well and hearing, I do want to mention something that my friend on his latest podcast appearance that is Rafael Barlow on of the Locked On NBA Big Board podcast. Rafael had said he's hearing a little bit in the grapevine out there, a little bit in the feelers. He's out in New York right now at the area of the draft. He was by the draft hotel today and get a chance to listen to his show. Obviously, of course, if you can. Plus, he made some other podcast appearances earlier today as well. Wanted to go ahead and mention that he was thinking about and hearing about some actually some speculation that Indiana is looking to trade and get younger. They're looking to trade up in the draft and get higher picks, but they're looking to get younger and go the way of Washington and look towards a rebuilding mode. And that could mean jettisoning off some players that you talked about last week in Miles Turner and Buddy Hield and some other players that are veterans on the roster. The reason why I say that, of course, this has long been a dream and a rumor for the Lakers now for well over a year since Laker Tom started envisioning this a long time ago. Your thoughts on the possibility that maybe Indiana, I know with Kevin Pritchard, you think who is
have a young team. They fleeced Sacramento and getting Halliburton. That's a good player. You have Miles Turner who has skill set that works in today's NBA. And then what are the other building blocks? You have two young players. One's a big, one's a guard. And then and then of course you've got at the time, first half of the year, you had the Rookie of the Year winner the first half of the year, which was Benedict Mathurin. So how much more you want? What do you want to do there? That doesn't make any sense. Why would you trade Turner? Hield, okay, I get that, but he's got 19 million left in after this year. Or he's got one more year left. What would be the benefit there? Who's going
expiring contracts on a new CBA is actually very attractive.
Right, but who's going to give up anything of substance that they would want for an expiring contract? Usually it's the other way around. You got to get a guy that's, I don't know, maybe on a 2-3 year contract that's making a lot of money to cover that. I don't really know what Indiana's doing. I don't know what their goal is other than what they've been doing. And what they're doing is they've gotten younger, they've got young guys, and they've signed them, and let's see if they can continue to improve. I don't know if Rick Carlisle is the kind of coach to coach for the next 5 to 10 years, but we're going to find out.
Well, we're going to see again. I was just throwing it out there myself because if Indiana's looking to move some of its older, more established players, then obviously they're going to try and get good picks for it, or relatively high choices, or some form of cap relief as well. So just thought I'd throw that out there as far as the add-on, because we've been talking about Indiana and those two for quite some time. I think that if they're going to deal, or if we're going to do a deal with Indiana, it's because at 17, if something doesn't fall to us as far as what the Lakers plan out, again, I'm really thinking that they will go ahead and maybe trade down if they don't see the player that they want or project at that slot. And instead of just grabbing a player that they're not 100% sure on, because they've been trying out a lot of players and working out a lot of players, they might trade down and get 2 or 3 more players that may be almost as effective right off the bat.
I think the fantasy of a trade with Indiana needs to stop.
I'm talking about there's Charlotte, there's Brooklyn at 21 and 22. There's Charlotte has 3 picks in the top.
I think the Bulls are the realistic team to trade with. I think that would be the team that I would talk to if I was Rob. There are a couple players there that the Lakers could use desperately. Somebody like DeRozan, someone like Caruso. There's a package there that could include a 17th pick or whatever. I think that would be something that I would be in complete support of. But even that is tough. Do you see Chicago trading Caruso, who just made the first team all defense? DeRozan I could see maybe, but is he worth the 17th pick? No. And I think for sure they'd be asking for that. So Rob's going to have to probably see which team needs to dump salary on a player that is valuable. That's something we need to probably talk about on a show where, after the draft, where we can explain who, what, and why. I think that will help. I'm not expecting a lot of trades, but I am expecting something on draft night. I think the real fireworks will start in 10 days, or I should say 9.5 days now, so that we can see what transpires and which teams are actually going to really be affected by the new CBA that probably kicks in by this time next year.
Again, when it comes to the NBA draft, and Alice is here. Thank you so much, Alice, for joining us. Also, as well, big shout out to Brandon, BZ, Intel Wild, obviously PMC as well. Great to have everyone here in the chat. The best Lakers chat room that's out there is the Lakers Fast Break. I do want to go ahead and mention that some of the individuals that they may be looking at are all moving up in the draft. At the time we first started speaking about the draft, about a month ago roughly, there were individuals such as Derek Lively, Grady Dick, Bilal Koulibaly. Those were players that had, at the time, right around where the Lakers were looking at 17. Those players have risen up in the draft. So it depends on if you're really interested in players like Carson Wallace. Kobe Buffkin is also a name that's risen up in the draft past where the Lakers might be able to draft. Jordan Hawkins, Nick Smith, Bryce Sensabaugh, who has dropped down in several mocks simply because of the fact that there's a worry about his health and his knees. So if that's the case, I've seen him actually even outside of the first round in a couple of mocks as well. So he looks to be falling. So again, the Lakers have their board on who they want to pick. If it comes down the point where 17 falls around, Joe, you just don't want to grab players that you're not really 100% committed to. That's when another team may call and say, you know what, we're willing to make a deal. I didn't say Indiana per se, but it's something because there's actually teams that are below the Lakers, like Brooklyn, like Charlotte, that can package 2 or 3 picks and throw them at the Lakers.
So Kobe Buffkin, I'm not so high on the Michigan players.
I don't like Jett Howard a whole lot.
Right, I'm with you on that. But there is something about Kobe that is a little appealing. He's a good finisher at the rim, which you've heard enough of that issue with the Lakers. He's a tough guy on defense, and he can't shoot. The problem is he athletic enough to play in the NBA? That's really ultimately the issue, and you can't. I don't think I can remember a player that hasn't shown elite athleticism, and then all of a sudden he creates elite athleticism in the NBA. What that player will have to do is he'll have to maneuver around the NBA physicality or the NBA elite athleticism above his head, basically. Think of Kyle Lowry. Think of a Kyle Lowry type player where he's not overly athletic, but can get the spots, can move his body in a way where he can get separation and obviously play good team basketball. It's such a crapshoot at this point, especially at that pick. For some reason, something's clicking on Derek Lively at 17. I don't know why that's been kind of gnawing at my head.
Derek Lively, though, has been like, for instance, Raphael, I was talking to you earlier, Raphael Barlow of the NBA Big Board. He actually has them mocked, and several others have them mocked right in between 9 to 14.
Yeah. I believe if I had to take a educated guess, I believe Derek Lively will be the pick at 17 if he's available. Because he fills a couple things for the Lakers in need, and he would be, in my opinion, at that point, probably the best player to draft. And the Lakers need someone to help AD. I think the more this gets close, the more I realize that it's important that the Lakers get some kind of large player, especially if you're going to have to deal with Jokic. If you're going to have to deal with Jokic in the West, you have to start getting size. And I don't know who the Lakers can get in the free agency market that would matter. Bigs are usually a couple of years in before they start to get good, so that might be a moot point anyways, but it might be worth the risk a little bit. It's just kind of one of those things where what can you do? It's a 17th pick. How much can you expect from someone? However, Lakers are, we've said it 100 times, the Lakers have been able to pick guys that kind of make a mark right at the beginning and then start to get really good. The only issue is there's not really more than 2 years left with this team from a LeBron AD standpoint.
Good
If
point.
they want to win a championship before LeBron has to retire, I believe LeBron is retiring after the 2025 season. I believe that's it. That'll be it. So the Lakers have 2 seasons here to figure out how they're going to contend for a championship. They feel pretty good about themselves right now, being where they were at the deadline and making it to Western Conference Finals. Let's see if they can bring enough, I guess, covers for what they're going to have to deal with Denver. I think Denver and then now Phoenix, they're going to have to bring enough talent, bring enough cohesiveness in 2024 to see if they can get past those teams. And maybe Phoenix blows up just like every other Kevin Durant team that wasn't in Golden State, but even in Golden State,
it's not going to end well, my friend. It may be good for a year or 2, maybe 3 at best, but it's not going to end well.
Yeah, you're probably right. And in the end, I think it's important, even more important, to build a team that's going to work, that's going to preserve LeBron and AD, and have a training camp and a full season with a team that's focused on winning a championship. There's a few ways the Lakers can go about this. We're going to find out here in a couple of weeks. I don't know. I really don't know. It's been quiet enough to not really get any kind of feeling on what's going to happen. But Rob can put himself in a position here this summer if he can use Bamba's asset as well as Beasley for someone that's relevant, someone that needs to dump salary on a very good player. I think that could be an option. How it dictates the Austin Reeves signing and Rui. I've said that Austin's probably coming back. I think Rui will be gone. I believe D'Angelo will be signed for a friendly number, whatever that is. And then the surprises is going to be, can he get something for Beasley and Bamba? Because that's a good number. That's a good expiring number.
If they pick up those contracts at $16 and $10 million respectively. I just wanted to make sure everybody knows that. Beasley says Lively Jr. would address some of our needs, but might be too young. Yeah, he still needs a little bit of development, but the potential is there. And the fact that he's truly the only 7-footer that could possibly be in that era, that area right there is another thing you want to consider. But he is talented, and I think he's got a bright future ahead of him. Plus, I've heard he's really working on his jump shot, and that, according to, again, my good friend, Mr. Rafael Barlow from the NBA Big Board, who's seen him behind the scenes of workouts, that he actually could have effective jump shot that he never got to really utilize in Duke. So we'll see what happens there. But one thing I wanted to ask you, something you just barely touched on, again, with AD going at the 4. We talked about this the other night. Luca, who is always catching our shows afters and providing much in commentary, I sent you the message to go ahead and respond to him. So maybe you can go ahead and do so now. Is the fact that he was adamantly against what you were talking about as far as AD being at the 4. So tell me your reasoning, which I agree with for the most part, as far as AD this upcoming season necessitating most of his time. Mind you, there's going to be like foul trouble or injuries here and there that's going to necessitate him playing the 5 from time to time. But talk to again about what kind of importance it is for the Lakers to go ahead and find a true number 5 to go alongside AD.
Well, it's going to come down to workload. That's really ultimately what it's for. I don't care if AD is 400 pounds or 200 pounds. His best position is the 4. And in terms of offense, for sure, which he struggled in the Denver series because of it. More than that is he can't. If you want to if you were able to spread out the defense a little bit, meaning if you had KCP, you had Caruso in front of them, then it's a different story playing center off and on, or at least half the time. But if he has to guard several players or shadow players, that's where that becomes a bad process. Bad process in spacing, bad process in his inability to focus on his guy and rebounding. He needs that guy next to him to help him rebound better, play better defense, and not have to manage everything on defense, which is what he did. And him being injured didn't help. I know that he's injured. He played injured. We're going to see if there's any work that needs to get done before the season. It doesn't sound like there will be. It sounds like maybe it's going to we're going to be able to just kind of have an off season where he rests. But it needs to be he needs help. He needs someone there that can help also play his position as defender when he's sitting. He could not sit without a complete shambles of a defense. D'Angelo, the difference between a guard like D'Angelo and Caruso or KCP, think about that for a second, right? So if D'Angelo Russell doesn't score, he becomes useless, right? D'Angelo is a better scorer than KCP and Caruso. But the problem is if he's not scoring, he is 10 times worse at the guard position than Caruso or KCP. Therefore, now AD needs to do what he needs to do to cover that up, which is not going to get covered up, especially if you have elite guards making shots like Jamal Murray. Jamal Murray went off. Jamal Murray went off. Imagine if you had Caruso or KCP in his face at least a little bit, he might not have gone so hot and won some of those games late. The little things matter. And you can't expect AD to be guarding guards, even though we've watched him guard guards and it's amazing, but that's only in spurts.
In a series that was decided on average by 6 points, and one of those games was actually over 10 points. So basically, 3 of those games were, 3-4 point difference at the most. That can make all the difference in the world, correct?
Has to be, especially in the playoffs. One little thing can make a difference. One little shot, one little whatever. It becomes a game of one shot changing everything. That's what that series was. It was the most competitive sweep I've seen, if that makes any sense. It was the most competitive sweep I've seen.
It was a sweep, but it's still
which is
three of those games came down to the last
the Lakers
minute.
Should have won. The Lakers should have won game 2, and they should have won game 4.
The NBA said as much, that they made the wrong call in game 4.
Well, the NBA can get thrown in battery acid. I can't stand when they apologize for that.
Those 2-minute reports are just awful. Absolutely,
they should just go and fall off a cliff. I'm sorry, I got to go basic on this. There's something else I want to say, but I can't. It's a family show, I know, but it's just garbage. It's garbage that these guys have absolutely no. After a while, your sorries mean nothing. As a matter of fact, it's worse. I'd rather you just say there was no problem. Just be a piece of crap all the way through. Don't act like you oh, well, sorry. Well, okay. And then you still have the same reffing games. Who's getting fired? Who's taking the accountability on this? Whatever. I don't care at this point. Lakers had a terrible year when it came to the refs. And this is a year where they were the number 1 free throw attempted team in the league, which is even more mind-boggling. But that's, again, a story for another time, or maybe just let it die out. Maybe this next year we can get past it and not have to worry about it. I don't know. I don't know how this is going to play out, and that's really probably where I'm at. I'm reading a lot of stuff. I'm getting info by the minute. Who's gonna go this way? Who's gonna go that way? I don't know. I'll probably know a little bit better on Thursday when we're doing the show.
Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate you watching and listening. We are talking about Everything going on within the league right now that could affect the Lakers, including the draft, possible trades, and more. Truly appreciate you watching and listening. But one player that is the focus for many this offseason is D'Angelo Russell. And I know that both Adam and Alice have actually said comments here in the past couple minutes in regards to him. And you're higher on him, I think, getting the try to get the read of what you're talking about as far as re-signing him to a contract and what his value is to the team than mine is. I mean, I guess it's he for me. It's I'm not in love or infatuated with him simply because of the fact that he is so inconsistent. But Alice called it out. Alice said that there were times and periods where he got on a hot streak and actually, came out with periods of time where he actually was very good in the Memphis series, and he actually had complete games, at one or two complete games, people could go ahead and point to in that Memphis series. Now, Adam, on the other end, said D'Angelo just happens to be our worst defensive player and actually was a target of Denver in that next series. So it's kind of like, I could see both sides of the equation. Again, you've been more favorable in your comments about him and re-signing him than I have. But I understand the need, even if you don't love the player, you understand that you do need tradable contracts and assets going forward for the Lakers. So I get that part of it.
Well, you have no choice with the way the setup is. You're going to have to sign him so you preserve that contract.
Yeah.
And he wasn't the only guy that had a bad series against Denver. Everyone had a bad series against Denver. So you got to give him, you got to see what he's got here. Can he improve next year? Can he acclimate better with a training camp and some cohesiveness and some chemistry? You can't just throw somebody off the. I still remember Manu Ginobili in the 2013 finals. He was absolutely horrid in that series, and he cost them that title. Everyone says it was Ray Allen's shot, and I'm like, well, or Greg Popovich taking Duncan out the last minute for rebounding purposes. Apparently, I don't know what it was exactly, but if you watch Manu Ginobili play that series, he was making so many mistakes. He cost the Spurs the series in that finals, and it happens sometimes. It just happens. So I'm willing to give D'Lo at least the first half of next season. Some time to see what he's got. Will he be one of those guys that can kind of get past this? Look at Rui. Rui was kind of off and on, and when the playoffs hit, he started playing really well. Was that because he smelled contract time? Maybe.
I mean, is everybody out there going to really expect him to hit close to 50% like he did in the playoffs from three? Is that really an expectation people should have? Because if they are, that's really kidding yourselves, because he shot 30% in the regular season from behind the arc. So it does look like a smooth shot, good shot, but that could very much been a motivation for him, like you were saying, Joe. So if Rui is gone, who's replacing him? So that's what the question that BZ808 is asking. I mean, that's a good question, because we really don't have that many means of ways to go ahead and recoup that size if we lose it.
I'm thinking Rui's gone because I don't think the Lakers want to. From a salary standpoint, I don't feel that they want to just go for it all the way. I'd have to see it. I think they have a number in mind with Rui, where if he says more than that, let's say if he wants 15 to 18 mil, I don't think he's coming back. If it's 12 to 14, I think there's some room there. And the NBA, I don't think is going to start spending that kind of money on someone who's still unsure. At least I don't think so. There's not a lot of teams out there that have big money on salaries other than Houston and San Antonio. So who's going to pay Rui, let's say 20 million per for 3 years? Do you see anybody doing that? I don't. I don't see anybody paying D'Angelo Russell 25, 30 mil anymore. Maybe they would have if he had won a championship and was an integral part on how they won. So the Lakers are in a position, I think, with the timing of the new CBA and the fact that we didn't end it well. There isn't really a high. There's not a high probability that these guys are going to get more than what they probably should get, and
One thing, go
that's
ahead.
kind of where I'm at. I don't. I just don't. I don't. I'm not feeling it. Not feeling the market saying we want to go get D'Angelo, we want to go get Rui. They do want Austin Reeves, though.
Yes, that's something that's going to be concerning for the Lakers. Absolutely.
Yes. So it's concerning only for the fact that it's going to mean that they're going to have to pay more than what they want, but they're going to have to pay it. And San Antonio and Houston know, it sounds like they know that the Lakers are going to match whatever money comes their way.
One thing I want to ask you, though, and that's something that's out there, is the possibility of Damian Lillard, if he does not see what he likes during the course of the NBA draft, may ask the team to go ahead and trade him. And although they're not obligated to, with his commitment to the Portland Trailblazers, you might want to go ahead and respect his wishes to an extent. One of the places that has been speculated on is the Los Angeles Lakers. I know that James Harden's name has also been thrown about. I know that Kendrick Perkins talked about that as a possibility. I know that that's something that, it's going to take a lot to make that happen, but there's always a possibility there, but not maybe at the dollar amounts that James Harden would be happy with. But when it comes to Damian Lillard, his contract, his money is already set. The thing is, the Lakers would have to pull off a lot of signs and trades to go get him. Your thoughts on the possibility of Damian Lillard coming to Los Angeles Lakers?
Zero chance.
I never say zero with the Lakers. I'll
zero
never
chance. Zero chance. Portland will never trade Damian Lillard to LA. Just get that out of your mind. He's going to Miami if he goes anywhere. He'll go to Miami.
You're 100% sure on that?
I'm 100% sure there's not a chance in hell Portland will trade Damian Lillard to LA. They're not going to trade him to any West team. They're going to trade him East.
Even if he has to do so.
That could be the only way, but what are the Lakers going to offer? What? Austin Reeves, the 17th pick, and then whatever filler you want. I just don't see it. I'm sorry. And I don't think the Lakers want to play that game anymore. I don't think they want to play the 3-star game anymore.
Sure. So let's say James Harden, who, Kendrick Perkins put in, as far as you can say what you want about Kendrick Perkins, but his name caught fire as far as a little bit trending on the internet in regards to that as a possibility. Technically, because he's a free agent, he's talked about going back to Houston. He's talked about staying with Philadelphia, but also, he could be finding another destination if he truly wants to. He's made a ton of money. He can go ahead and maybe be a Laker too. If the right call, LeBron's done it before. Sometimes all it takes is sitting down to dinner with him and AD.
No. I don't want James Harden anywhere. No. No. I don't want another malcontent on this team. James Harden is a malcontent, not as bad as Russell Westbrook, but he is kryptonite to winning. I don't want him. I don't want him. But
he'd take a lion's share of those minutes away from LeBron, as you would ask.
Yeah, but there's something about him and his game.
I'm just throwing it out there, everybody.
I don't even want to think about that one. Damian Lillard would be great for about a year or two, but then you have to hope that AD and LeBron stay healthy too. But that's just not going to.
All these guys, Bradley Beal, Damian Lillard, they're all ugly at the end of their contract. You're talking close to $60 million.
Damian Lillard, I think, is going to be good for a while. I think the issue is, how are you going to contend when LeBron, AD, or LeBron has gone in 2 years? Is it going to be the Lillard AD show? Okay, I think there's something good there. But more than that is, it's like talking about the Indiana trades. It's just these guys don't like the Lakers. They're not going to trade anyone there. So why are we even thinking about this? It's just a waste of brain cells. I don't want to think about it. If it happens, great. because I think they have this coming year where they can get away with not having depth. If you've got Damian Lillard in that Denver series, Lakers are winning that series. It's that simple, right? But I just don't see Portland trading their number one player in-house in their own conference, let alone the Lakers. They're going to send him east, and then it's bye-bye birdie. That's it.
Unless he asks for it.
I just don't. I don't know. I don't think they're going to do it.
Okay. I'm just saying again, we don't know what the rumors lie as far as it's concerned 100%.
Where's this thought process coming from?
It's just again, it's everything out there, social media. You hear from this reporter, you hear from that reporter, you hear that report, you hear this report. These are all possibilities that have been mentioned over the past few weeks.
Who said this, and what idiot is wanting to get clicks by saying this?
So many people wanting to get clicks, man. This is what it's all about. Again, I'm just right now telling you.
If you have to get clicks by being a piece of crap, go be a piece of crap then. But I'm not gonna go listen or read your garbage.
Okay.
Sorry. Let's get to. Of course, it's possible. Of course, everything is possible. I can go.
But you don't feel the need. You don't feel the Lakers might be in a situation where they feel that they have to go ahead and build up their superpower as well. I agree with Roberto on building a team through depth, because we've seen teams with depth actually work more often than not. I agree with Roberto, but we've known the Lakers. They've already gone down this road before. So there always will be in the back of my mind some possibility that the Lakers will try to go ahead and obtain a third star. Even Alice said that she sees the possibility of that happening in the next 2 years as well.
A possibility of getting what?
Trying to get another star for a big three.
That's easy. Of course, when LeBron retires, they're going to try to get a star. But right now,
she says in 2 years, but LeBron would still be on the team.
No. LeBron is done after 2025. LeBron is done after 2025. Why would he stay beyond his contract? For what? If he can't be LeBron, what's his benefit? You guys saw what happened in this playoffs. This guy is playing his butt off to the point where he can't play like even from a year ago. Guys, at some point this is going to end. LeBron will have been in the league 22 years after his contract is over. It's over. It's like, that's enough. Let's try to maybe get him one more title here and then call it a day. That's it. I think you guys are unrealistic if you think LeBron is staying after 22.
That's John. I agree with you. I think he's going to be done as soon as he has his final year with his son, whether it's on the same team or otherwise. I do think that's probably going to be the case. But when it comes to his friend Chris Paul, a situation right now. Now, obviously, in ways he only found out about the trade heading to Washington while he was on the plane. I think his son contacted him, and that's how he found out. He gets a bump up from the $15 million buyout possibility that he was looking at. He gets bump up to $25 to $30 million as far as his contract, which will most likely be picked up in full. So he actually was a pretty good day for him as far as picking up that kind of extra cash. The thing is, though, that Washington has not yet indicated whether or not they want to waive him. There's a good possibility they're trying to work out a trade. The Clippers seem to be a front runner. Do you think the Lakers will try to get involved with that too? You and I both spoken about how we would like to see Chris Paul and the team only in a veteran minimum status.
Yeah, that's it. Veteran minimum, that's it. A dime more? No.
Because if he's filling $30 million on your roster, that's a lot
From
for
where?
39. Basically, if he gets let's say he gets moved, like for instance, to the Clippers, he would get moved to, if he gets traded to the Clippers, he gets traded for assets that have to move back. So now you've got Chris Paul's $30 million sitting on your books for this year.
So the Clippers are going to trade Paul George.
There wouldn't be Paul George. It would be something like Robert.
But they're talking about
Robert
the word is they're engaging interest on Paul George so that they can get a 80-year-old CP3 in another trade.
For Marcus Morris, who got out of the rotation.
What in the hell? Even in the Clipper land, that sounds hilarious.
I'm just, they're there.
Why
Again,
would you do that? Why would you do that? Why are you caring about a 38-year-old guard who hasn't won squat, who keeps coming up lame at the end of every single season? What is the benefit of that discussion? If I'm the GM of the Clippers, what am I doing? What did I say about Draymond Green in Golden State? Remember how everybody's like, "Hey, the dynasty ain't over, right?" Okay, so you're telling me he's going to opt out now for what? So he can sign a smaller deal for more years at Golden State after 2 garbage seasons?
what do you think he's going to do?
He has to be gone. He's done. And whoever signs him may be a fourth or fifth option on a competing team for that leadership role, right? Whatever the hell that means with him. If I'm Golden State, I'll let him walk. You guys got bigger fish to fry. You guys got to figure out who's going to take cesspool. I can't take credit for that. It was one of our esteemed chat room guys. Yeah, how are you going to get rid of cesspool and his contract and his BS? And is Klay Thompson done? Yes, Klay Thompson might be done. Steph Curry is the only guy there that's still playing like Steph Curry.
Now, Mike Dunleavy, the new GM, has said that they do want Green back.
Yeah, and I want to date with Jessica Alba too. Is that realistic?
Well, she's kind of engaged already.
So am I. So let's get back to stop talking about fantasy and let's get back to reality. Mike Dunleavy.
If you listen to you for like this whole show, you would say nothing is going to go on to happen. There's going to be no moves, and that's it. There are always moves leading up to the draft.
There are moves, yeah, that makes sense. Like Lillard to Miami. Draymond Green coming back on a friendlier contract with Golden State. Sure. Likely? Probably not. If you're smart, if you're a smart GM, Mike Dunleavy Jr., and when GMs say we would like them back, that's usually a sign of bullcrap. We don't want them back. I'm just using that for PR. So it's not really. I'm not impressed with whatever they're doing over there right now. What have they done that gives you any indication that they're gonna keep the dynasty? The dynasty's over. The Lakers ended it. Get on with your life. You already lost your GM, who word around the campfire said he wanted to trade Klay Thompson, and Steph Curry used his veto power there. And Draymond Green has been a shell of himself, to say the least, for 2 years. And you have a $30 million player that's played like a $300,000 player this last year. Yeah, no, sorry. I don't know what you're going to do, but you better do it right. Draymond Verde, that's funny.
Roberto has a good point. The only issue with letting Green walk is that they're so over the cap that replacing his salary would be impossible. It would just give them tax relief, but no cap space. And that's something these teams have to figure out, because Phoenix, it looks like, because of their going all in, they already know they're going to be well above that second tax apron. And they're basically their roster outside of a move here, move there, unless they trade DeAndre Ayton, is going to be fixed for quite some time.
DeAndre Ayton is a player that I see being traded.
Yeah,
for
he
sure.
could be definitely on the move, either now or by the trade deadline.
And that's one to look at. But I don't know, man. I'm gonna have to see how this draft plays out, especially the second and third pick. That's an interesting window there on what's gonna end up happening.
Adam has a good point to remind. Do you think Zion Williamson is staying or going?
Where does he want to go?
Doesn't matter where Zion wants to go. Do you think that New Orleans has had enough?
I think it's important that we know where he wants to go, because if somebody trades for him, how do you know he's not going to just eat himself to death there?
Would you really want to go to Charlotte?
No one wants to go to Charlotte.
I set you up for that one. Answered exactly the way I
No one
thought
wants
you
to
would.
go to Charlotte. No one wants to go to New Orleans. No one wants to go to Minnesota.
Yeah, he wants to go to NYC, Tycoon. Absolutely. He's actually said that in interviews.
Yeah, it's not. Those are the three purgatories in the NBA. New
But do you
Orleans.
think Charlotte would be interested in trade? You think they're actually going to execute
If
that trade?
I'm New Orleans, I try to see if I can get somebody out in Minnesota. I'd see if there's a trade there that you can make happen.
Were you talking about for Edwards or
I don't know about Edwards. I think Edwards is going to be the guy there.
who else? Towns?
Maybe Anthony Towns, something to stir something up. But then will he want to be in Minnesota? No.
So would you take Towns over Scoot per se? Because that's who they probably would be targeting.
No. I wouldn't take anyone other than Wembanyama for Scoot. And I think Charlotte's going to make a huge mistake if they draft Brandon Miller ahead of him.
You and I both. I know the lot.
No one learns the lesson, man. No one learns the lesson.
I know Raphael talked about it's a better fit, but at that high,
It's
you need
not
the
though.
best player.
It's not a better fit. You're not going to win any more games with those guys. You might as well get the best player. And if LaMelo, look what happened to Portland not drafting Michael Jordan, right? Because they had Clyde Drexler. Don't make these mistakes, guys. Look what the Philadelphia 76ers did, moving up for Fultz, Markelle Fultz, when they could have just got Jason Tatum. Don't complicate this, guys. Don't complicate it. Scoot is the second best player in this draft. Scoot has John Morant, Derrick Rose skill set right there for you. Why would
what
you?
About what about if would you take this? Would you trade Zion Williamson for the second or third pick? If I'm
New Orleans, absolutely. But
okay.
The issue is whoever receives him, they're going to have to deal with his porn star situation as well as his eating situation. That's the issue. Who's going to want to take that shot? Who's going to want to potentially trade future superstars for a gluttonous? It's too bad too, because Zion just seemed like, I don't know what's going on with these guys, man. You look at somebody like John Morant, you look at that Zion Williamson. These guys are highly, or at least they perceived themselves as or showed that they were highly intelligent, mature adults, but they're not. They got suckered into the fame and the bull, and they're just kind of just typical, kind of stereotypical NBA slob.
And I know still a lot of individuals that are trying to choose for fit and number 2 for Charlotte are talking about Brandon Miller, but again, as Roberto pointed out, and as also was pointed out earlier today by Rafael Barlow on his show, that the Vegas odds, and we saw this last year when in the last 24 hours, the odds swung way over to Paulo, and then we saw him voted number 1 because it's like almost like they knew something, which and oftentimes they do. The odds for number 2 for Scoot have risen up dramatically, and now he's the favorite to go number 2 in Vegas. So I don't doubt them. I don't doubt their ability to go ahead and gauge what's going on. And again, like you, I have seen Scoot, on tape, but I've also seen him live. I've seen his competitiveness. I've seen what this kid can do on a real life basis. I've seen Brandon Miller for quite a bit and quite a stretch on tape, or excuse me, on video, on YouTube, what have you. And I will say, though, I am extremely impressed by Scoot, much more so than Brandon. I think Brandon's going to have a nice career, but I really think Scoot is a transitional player as far as being able to move your team and your franchise in from one level eventually to another.
I guess hindsight's 2020. We're going to find out.
Absolutely.
The NBA, this year's college crop was not good. Most of these guys, like Scoot, isn't even playing on a college team, and most of the guys I saw during the tourney were like, They just didn't see anybody that impressed me. So most of these guys their effectiveness is going to be dictated by which team drafts them, which coach is coaching them, and where they fit with a team. I don't see anyone other than Wembanyama changing anything, and Scoot has that chance as well, as long as he doesn't go to the purgatory teams, which Charlotte is one of those. And if he goes to Portland, it's going to be his team right off the bat, because I think Damian Lillard then says, I'm out of here, and he'll get sent to Miami for Bam Adebayo and Tyler Hero and maybe Duncan Robinson and some draft picks, and Miami will start doing their thing there. At least that's how I look at it. It's such a crapshoot right now. I'm still trying to understand the new CBA and how that's going to affect things. I've been reading some things here and there, but my brain hurts from all the stuff going on, all the little intricacies and the apron 1 and the apron 2 and what happens here and what happens there. And the fact that the NBA is like, well, clean up your act, guys. We'll see you next year. Like, that whole concept, kind of stupid. I just wish it was a basic setup. I'm tired of all these little nuances that you have to set up so that you don't pay a tax. And then if you do this, then you can't really do that. And it's like, did they really need to complicate it that much? I mean, if you're going to complicate it, just put $250 million on a hard cap and call it a day. All this nonsense of apron 1 and apron 2, was it necessary to do this? Are the owners that terrible at just making a decision? Is the competitive balance that bad? I mean, the guys, that you're making all these rules, teams like New Orleans, teams like Charlotte, teams like Minnesota still suck. So what are we doing this for? Memphis is still not winning squat. What is it? Orlando still sucks. Atlanta still doesn't win jack anything. What is all this for? To keep the big New York hasn't won squat in 50 years. What is with all this? Big market money, or is it just Lakers? Is it just the Lakers? You're just making these rules so the Lakers don't sign everyone? Pretty stupid decision on my part. Not because I'm a Laker fan. It's just the Lakers did what they've done the last 23 years because they're the Lakers. Whether you have it strict or not, they're still winning championships. They win championships tripping over themselves. They go to the Western Conference Finals barely being able to make the playoffs. That's what winning franchises do. You can change all the rules you want. You can make it difficult for them to sign. There's still a culture there. They still get the guys that they want. So why not just end this charade of 700 different ways where you have to sign somebody and match contracts, and just let the league just decide on who wants to make their money and who doesn't? Oh, well, Joe, it'll be like the Major League Baseball. Okay. Now what? What are we supposed to do now? You want to make it all even like the NFL? You can't. NFL's different than Major League Baseball and the NBA. NBA especially. The NBA is all about who you get in that first 1, 2, 3 pick. Can you get that superstar that can carry you?
Once again, it's the Lakers Fast Break. It is Joe Soro and me, Gerald Glassford. Thanks so much for watching and listening. Before we head out, again, the Lakers do have the 17th pick in the NBA draft. Joe, it looks like you and I, if we had the choice in that area, players that were eligible between 7 and 25, let's just say, that we see in mock drafts. I think if you and I have the choice, we would go ahead, and all apologies to what we see with whether it's Stone Hansen and the Upside Swings NBA Draft Podcast, Rafael Barlow from the NBA Big Board, anybody else that's out there, your thoughts on that. I really think that both you and I would pick Derek Lively Jr., our first choice. That would be our first choice if he falls to us at 17. If that doesn't happen, is there anyone else that you're really looking at? Grady Dick's name has always been brought up. A few other players. You mentioned Bryce Sensabaugh as well, Kobe Buffkin, some other players. Nick Smith was someone that Stone also mentioned as well. Any thoughts on who you might be looking at if, of course, Derek Lively does not fall to the Lakers?
Well, Nick Smith Jr. is appealing because you have a guy that, because of his injury, has destroyed his stock. This guy could have been a top 5 pick. If you select, let's say, Nick Smith Jr. at 17, if he drops that far, which a lot of the draft mocks that I've seen say he will, and he doesn't get injured, that could be the steal of the draft. You're talking about a guy that's got tremendous offensive value. And you'll get him for what? Well, according to Rob, you'll sign him for 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully he smartens up on that one and does enough evaluation on his body to preserve him, and hopefully signs up for 4 years so he can use that kind of like the drafting a star quarterback the first 3-4 years. You have a chance to fill out the team and compete. He's intriguing to me. Nick Smith Jr. is the most intriguing guard, at least in that area.
If Bryce Sensabaugh's knees are healthy, I know his defense is iffy, but he is a scoring machine. I really would like to, I don't think he'll be drafted that high, but if he falls and the Lakers could somehow pick up either a late first somehow or an early second, that might be something that they might be interested as well.
Lakers are going to do one of two things on whomever they draft. They're either going to get someone who's good on offense or someone who's good on defense. And
there's only two choices,
right? There's not going to be anyone at 17 that's going to do both.
Yeah,
we have to understand that. We have to live with it. What's going to help is if you can draft one of those two, whomever is the best player available. Hopefully, you can get the other side in free agency or through a trade. That's the focus. That's the focus, at least from my. He's not that big, Beezy.
He's 6'5". He's listed at 6'5".
Yeah, I guess think of a D'Angelo Russell size. D'Angelo's probably close to the 6'3", but he's listed at 6'5". But he's great on offense, just like D'Angelo. And if D'Angelo doesn't get signed, or if there's a trade there that the Lakers are able to make, now that kind of gives you a player that's got kind of similar skill sets, if he's healthy, with a fraction of the cost. So many ways to play this out. How it's going to happen, how it's going to work out is Rob is going to look like a genius if everything works out, and if it doesn't work out, he's going to look like a complete idiot. But if you look at it from a common sense standpoint, he's at the mercy of what can I sign without having an issue with ownership saying, well, this is too much money. We don't want to spend this much money. We don't want to be saddled with this next year because of the CBA going into full effect and all that.
I'll tell you what, though, my friend, it's been great conversation so far. Got so many people here. Thanks so much again for watching and listening. It is the Lakers Fast Break. Roberto is something that, he's talking about something that I am receptive to, but I know that you're not, and that's trading down for a package of picks. I think the Nets could be a possibility at 21 and 22. They have both of those picks. The Lakers would, buy it is, just put it this way, it is enticing to get some of those later first round draft picks, Joe, because if you bundle for a package of that, they are cheaper. They're on contract unless Rob blows it somehow again, like he has with some of the other second rounders. They are contracted to 3 to 5 years, so you can watch them develop at a lower price point, and they help you with that aspect. But again, you're right. As far as the other end of it, the more players you get that are rookies coming in, the less possibility that they can help you right away. We did see it a little bit with Christian Brown and a couple other rookies, but yeah, for the most part, it's a tough call to ask.
I don't think the Lakers are in a position to stockpile draft picks for players that are going to be less effective just because you want to add another one on there. The Lakers need someone that can make an impact right away, and it's very hard. It's already very hard picking at 17 to do that. If you're going to drop down into the low 20s and high 20s because you want to add draft picks, the only reason why you would do that is to use it for assets. So if you want to go after somebody like a third star or maybe a couple players that would help be a 2.5 star, but two guys that are 2.5 stars, and you need draft capital to add to the trade, then that would make sense. But I just don't see anybody trading. I don't see anybody trading for D'Angelo Russell unless the Lakers are giving the other team more money. or more assets. I don't see what the point of that would be unless the other team was trying to get rid of a large, let's say a 2-3 year contract, like Levine, like trying to get rid of something like that. But then you need D'Angelo and somebody else, and then you have a Levine who's making $40 million for the next 3 years.
Although, again, that's where Beasley's contract, Bamba's contract, those
Yeah.
two definitely come into play just because of the fact that they're on 1 year expirings if you decide to pick up those contracts.
I guess I'm also factoring in, does Genie want to pay that money? So let's talk about that. Why is Chicago on my mind, right? Let's
pizza?
say,
The pizza?
No.
Okay. The Cubs?
I had pizza in Chicago. I like most things that people tell you, a lot of things. It's pizza. It's not like I've eaten good pizza a lot in my life. I don't see where
Chicago style.
Yeah, just because it says Chicago on it doesn't what it's going to taste like berries and chocolate. Like I don't never understood this whole. Well, you got to eat pizza in Chicago. Oh, is it made of different bread in Chicago? No. What about the sauce? Well, okay. I've had good pizza at commercial chains, and I've had good pizza at more independent chains. And at some point, pizza's going to taste like pizza. Crappy pizza is very obvious, but really good pizza, that's a different story. But if Chicago, let's say, wants to dump salary, looking at their setup, they have DeMar DeRozan, who's on his expiring contract. Usually guys on expiring contracts are not going to get traded unless they're getting assets like draft picks back. Because there's no point. Why would you just trade him for whatever, right? I think Vucevic is going to get signed. And if that happens, it's almost, I feel, guaranteed that they're going to try to move Levine because this is too much money, especially with what's going on with Lonzo Ball. They're stuck with him for 2 more years?
Do you see them following the same path as Washington? I think there's a very real possibility.
I could see that. So the Lakers in that scenario, I'd say if there's one team that is intriguing, is Chicago. Do the Lakers use Mo Bamba, Beasley, and some draft capital to get Zach LaVine? That's going to be the question.
The thing is, though,
and let's say you sign D'Angelo for, I don't know, 3 years at $60 million. Does he get used in a sign and trade in that deal? Because Chicago would still need a guard, right? At some point, they don't have Lonzo Ball.
The thing is, I think if very going to be very telling if Chicago can somehow dump Ball's contract to a team that has a lot of cap space, with whatever assets they can get, tie along with it, because I think for all intents and purposes, Ball could be done as a player. So they probably want to go ahead and try to do what they can to get rid of that contract to a prospective buyer for the right price. If they can do that, then you're right. That would leaves the hole open anyways for a D'Angelo or some other point guard to come in there and take over the spot. But yeah, I think it definitely incentivizes the Bulls even more. But also, there's a very real possibility if they can't unload Ball's contract, that they could be rebuilding very soon.
I think they need to be rebuilding. Especially, they're not going to win with this team. I'd love to get Caruso back in that deal as well. If there's a way we can use D'Angelo's contract and Beasley and Bamba with some draft capital to get Zach LaVine and Caruso, that's a win now move. Now you have an offensive force in LaVine, and then you have a defensive force in Caruso. You have those two guys in the Denver series. That series changes as well. And then you can use the mid-level exception for hopefully a serviceable center, and now you're ready to go after a championship. That would be something that is realistic in my book. That would be something that I think Laker Nation would be excited to find out how that kind of works out. The only issue there is you're paying Zach LaVine, what, 40 million up to almost 50 million until 2027. Does Genie want to do that? Probably not.
Well, I'll tell you what, though, it's been a great conversation. I truly appreciate everyone out there watching this. You guys have been great. Would Chicago send Levine to us or New York NYC? If New York wants to get rid of RJ Barrett, or the Lakers want to get rid of Austin Reeves in that trade, I think that would come down to it. I think that's what would have to come back to Chicago in that trade would be either a sign and trade with Reeves involved or a sign and trade with RJ Barrett because of the assets involved for Chicago that they need in the back. The Lakers don't have enough first round trades, so they definitely would want to probably have Reeves as a. Would you give that up? Would you give up a sign and trade for Reeves for Levine if that was involved in the package?
That's a lateral move. No, having Levine and let's say Caruso in a deal with.
But I'm thinking from the Chicago aspect of it. I mean, what's in it for Chicago?
Chicago's right? It's what they're in is they're dropping that huge salary.
But they want assets in return. So
sure,
what do they get in return?
Give them. Well, if you want to add a 29 pick and this year's pick, that's it. That's the only picks, or the 31 pick, I guess. You want to win another championship with LeBron, you're going to have to keep Austin Reeves, bring in Levine, bring in Caruso, and you now have that dynamic that you're looking for, and hopefully free agency can get you a big that can play up front.
So I ask you, so again, not that I want to get rid of Reeves because I would prefer Reeves, but let's say the Chicago dangles.
Reeves goes only to superstars.
Well, no, I'm just saying Levine and Caruso. So Levine and Caruso doesn't move the needle for you?
For Reeves?
Yeah.
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm just asking I'm just asking.
Yeah, you'd have to bring DeRozan in there too. If you said DeRozan, Levine for Reeves and fillers,
that might involve Rui.
Yeah, that's fine. I would take DeRozan, Levine, and Caruso for a package of Reeves, Rui, and whatever assets they want to put in there. But that might be too much, though. That might be too much. I don't see how that would work.
Okay, I'm just asking.
I think the Bulls can get a better deal than that somewhere else, especially if DeRozan's involved. Because DeRozan would go. Somebody would want DeRozan to try
and
to go.
That still wouldn't solve their point guard issue in Chicago.
No, it wouldn't. But they have a lot of issues. I don't know. Even if that trade is done, they'll still have issues.
Yeah. So it looks like a rebuild is probably.
It's going to be a money thing. Those deals happen in the Lakers' favor because that team wants to drop salary and dropping the Levine contract. You're talking about a contract that's going to pay him 40, 43, 46, and almost 49 in the next 4 years. You can get out of that if you take on D'Angelo Russell for 3 years at 20 mil. And then you have Mo Bamba, you have Beasley that are making 26. You throw in Caruso in there because the Lakers want to get him back. Could be interesting. That part might be me kind of hoping for that. But Levine for expiring contracts and draft picks, that's very realistic. Very realistic.
Do you think in some cases, because I know I hear the scuttlebutt online as far as from just general fans out there, that we as Laker fans hold Austin Reeves to a higher level or echelon than the rest of the NBA season, Matt? Do you think that's true or not so true? Because I even see Adam right now in the chat talking about Austin Reeves straight up for Dame Lillard in a trade.
Oh, I would do that in a heartbeat for Dame Lillard. I told you that Austin Reeves has to be traded for a legitimate third star. You don't trade him for, let's say, DeMar DeRozan straight up because that's a lateral move in the end. You're talking about a guy that's still young, the guy that has many years left. Look what happened when we let Caruso go. We screwed that up, right? We screwed it up. We lost a first-team all-defensive player when we needed a guy like that in the Denver series, right? We can't let go of guys, especially guys that you develop. How do you develop a player and then you let him go? What's the point then? What is the point? Luckily, you won a championship with them, so that kind of eases the problem. But you can't develop players, teach them the Laker way, and they're effective for you, and then say, you know what, we're out. We're gonna let you go because we don't want to pay your money or we think you're not that good. No, it has nothing to do with the fact that he's a third star or fourth star. He is the culture. He's one of the guys that's part of the culture, and you want to keep that there. It helps with chemistry. It helps with winning basketball, especially when you have two of the guys that are stars on your team.
Absolutely. So again, these are scenarios that have been talked and bandied about over the past few days and weeks as far as the rumors, the innuendo, the stuff that's going on, because it's been too quiet in Lakers land. And so everybody starts to bring up all these things back up again as far as who might be going where and could somebody end up that's really big be headed to the Lakers. So definitely wanted to go ahead and make sure that we provide you with some insight on that. And obviously, even though Joe and I are still very concerned about who would be available at number 17 and how we would go about there as far as decisions we would make, whether or not if the individuals that we are looking for are not there at 17, what we would do with the pick, or would we go ahead and pick anyways or trade down, or the possibilities therein. So definitely a lot to think about as far as the way that everything is shaped out. But I do expect a lot more movement to take place, or at least to be talked about before the draft. I know there's been kind of quiet in the league so far outside of Draymond Green and Kyle Kuzma both saying bye-bye to the last years of their contract. Do you think it'll start perking up real soon, my friend?
Yeah, I think there's going to be some movement here after the draft,
or even before?
I don't know.
There's usually a bevy of activity either right on or before, just before, in the hours leading up
In
to
the
the
in
NBA
the few
draft.
things that I've read, the guys that would be in the know would be able to hint at something that you can kind of decipher.
Mhm.
Everything else seems to be just clickbait garbage. And I know this because I scroll, after a while, the algorithms know what you look at. So I see these headlines of Damian Lillard's going to go to the Lakers. Like, it's just stupid waste of time articles that whomever is putting it out there should just get
I love
slapped in
just
the
throwing
face.
those questions out at you because it just
Yeah,
pisses
because
you
it's
off.
stupid. Because it's stupid. It's a
Even behind
stupid.
the season, even behind the scenes, he chews me out for this. But
It's a stupid waste of time, and it's what creates these problems. It's just it's stupid fodder. It's all it is. And I want to know. I want to know legitimate. I want these schmucks, and I think a lot of my anger from it is these are the schmucks that have 500,000 followers. These guys are influencing these people who are on there, and these people who are watching. Like, why are you following these clowns? Is it just entertainment? No valuable information, no realistic mindset of things. If that's the case, I feel sorry for you. I do. I feel sorry for you that you need to have that kind of entertainment of bullcrap. How about watch what we say? We can be entertaining. You know that. And how about the right information? Or do you just want to feel good? You just want to imagine the fantasy? This is not a movie, guys. I understand if it's a movie where Vin Diesel flies 45 feet in the air, catches somebody, and then goes into the trunk of a car with no scratches.
do you really have to remind me about Fast X? That was 2 hours of my life I
I
can't get
haven't
back.
watched a fast movie, I think, since Seven.
I watched it last week. It's absolutely horrid.
Yeah, Seven. I think Seven, which was the last or the movie that Paul Walker unfortunately passed away before they finished. And as far as I'm concerned, this is the epitome of the viewers. And it used to be about the cars, right? And that was kind of the appealing part. Hey, I'm there to watch the cars. Then you realize these guys turned into James Bond turning into Thor, flying in the air and being spies and all this. I'm just sitting there going, okay, well, what is it with this franchise that just draws in $1 billion? It's almost like a bad nightmare. But back to the basketball thing. This is reality. This is real. This isn't fake. Start watching people who actually know what's going on. Yes, we're supposed to have an opinion. Yes, we're wrong sometimes. That's part of it. But we're right most of the time. And if you want good information and you want realistic information, watch us. If you want me to do my rants, I'll do my rants. A lot of times I'll do a rant because you guys asked for a rant. I'm actually all right. You guys might not think I'm all right, but I am.
You know what you should do? You should actually start a Cameo and have people pay to go ahead and do a rant for them. Yeah. Oh, it's your birthday? Well, bleep, 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 bleep. You for your birthday.
Well, that would be nice if it wasn't me. For
Okay.
somebody else, sure.
I mean,
I'm
that's a way to generate funds.
I'm on this show because I was invited to be on the show. I would
I
have never
remember inviting you.
I would have
Yes.
never started my own podcast because I think that's just I have different opinions on that.
Oh well, thank you.
What I mean by that is you've done your podcast trying to set up an ensemble, which is different. I'm talking just starting a podcast and just yapping about stuff that no one cares about. In this case, if I had gotten on here and stayed on here for a year and the numbers were dipping, I'd be the first to tell you, I don't think anybody gives two craps about what I say. Gerald, I'm sorry. I'm probably going to have to go. There are a few out there that do enjoy the show, and that's the point. I don't do interviews discussing my life. I'll obviously throw some things here with work and fam every now and then, just because I want you to I do want you guys to know I'm human, but I don't delve into the information too much. We're here to do a Lakers show. We're here to give relevant information and throw in some entertainment there as well. And then you also are getting a little bit of me in real life. I am somewhat on a crusade to puncture and destroy yellow journalism and yellow personalities in general, pieces of garbage. Some of it is subjective, I guess. Some people don't like certain people. That I get that, but I usually try to go after and those guys that are truly, dried bloodstains.
Fair enough indeed. But once again, it is the Lakers Fast Break. We truly appreciate everybody out there watching and listening. If anything comes up over the next 2 days, Wednesday we'll definitely have a show
This
if
is the
something comes up.
fastest hour and 24 minutes ever.
Well, Wednesday, if something comes up, we'll obviously jump on the air. We'll go ahead and make sure you're covered on that. Thursday, at the very least, we will be live at 5 o'clock with a simulcast from both playback.tv, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, the whole 9 yards. Will be all over the place covering the NBA draft in its entirety right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Laker Tom has already asked to be a part of it. Joe Soro and I are going to be here as well. So definitely going to look forward to going ahead and hearing our rants and comments as the whole NBA draft goes by. Going to see about maybe doing a snack pack before the draft if there's any really real news or rumors that we need to go ahead and really talk about at length before the draft. So definitely want to look for that as well. So we're going to keep you in the loop on what's going on here at the Lakers Fast Break. It is truly appreciated. Alice, Roberto, petting my cat, Mark, Howard, everybody, Adam, just been so sensational throughout the entire show. Again, the best Lakers chat room is right here at the Lakers Fast Break. Any last thoughts, my friend? Again, it's all been too quiet on the Western Front for now.
Yeah, there's a little bit of a lull that happened after the playoffs ended. Even the show took a little bit of a lull, but this
Oh
last
my
show
gosh.
this
Everybody
last
was worried
show
about this. You guys off the air for good? I'm like, I
no,
went
guys.
on
Again,
vacation.
if we're just look, we know who our people are. We know our people are going to be loyal. And I want the people who are watching this show, who are listening to it right now, who will listen to it on rerun, on replay, those who listen to this 6 months from now or a year from now, the only reason why this show is going where it's going is because of you guys. You guys have built the foundation. And when it gets big, you will still be the foundation. I don't want to lose those guys. I don't want to lose, because this chat room eventually is going to be rolling like the Score app. It's just going to be with many, many people having their say. So I'm going to try to figure out a way to slow that down as much as I can for those who built this thing for us. And we're not going anywhere. Gerald and I are not going anywhere. I'm healthy. He's healthy. We got guys that come in when they can and do their best when they can. But for sure, this show is going to continue to progress. And we're already getting to that point where we're going to get back to playback, which I missed dearly, by the way. I'm excited for that on Thursday. I was supposed to go to Newport Beach for a dinner on Thursday night.
How the hell with Newport
And I
Beach?
said, I got work to do, guys. I'm sorry. I got work to do. And everyone understands this is a big part of what we're going to be doing here. And it's just going to continue to do what it's doing. And I'm hoping that there's some positive that comes out of it too in the journalistic world and the analyzation world, because I think there's no one really doing that. I think you have too many clowns and too many yappers that have big positions in this industry. We need to have somebody that actually knows what's going on, understands the cap, understands reality, understands why and what. There are surprises, yes. There are people who get desperate, yes. However, more often than not, we predict what we predict, and a lot of times we're right. And if you don't believe me, go ahead and look back in October. Matter of fact, go look at October 22nd and see what Gerald and I said about who was going to be in the finals. Gerald picked one out of the two. I picked both. I just got the winner wrong. I thought Miami would be formidable over Denver at that point.
Actually, I just picked them to win the West in the regular season. I did not pick them to go all the way to the finals. So I want to clarify that. But yeah, you and I both thought they were going to be having a good season overall.
Yeah.
Let's just put it that way. You could actually go farther back to me in the Russell Westbrook trade. The day that came out, I thought that was an epic failure and was just, trash upon all trash. So definitely go from there as far as that, or even going back farther, or even that, if you want to go ahead and check out the shows that we did during the bubble and all that. So yeah, we thought this team was really going to be good at that time, and it turned out end up being the case. And definitely we're more right than wrong here, and we were very thankful for that. But again, it all starts with you, the listener, and you, the viewer out there, and you, the follower. So hopefully, again, if you will like and subscribe, please go ahead and help support us, help to get us to where we need to be, help to get us to where we would like to be. If you do, it is truly appreciated from all of us here at the Lakers Fast Break. So for Joe Soro, Lakersball.com and SynBlades.com, and me, Gerald Glassford, from the Pop Culture Cosmos and Lakers Fast Break, thanks so much for watching this thing. If anything comes up tomorrow, I will come up on the fly, or we will go ahead and do something tomorrow night. And Thursday, if it's really hot and heavy with all the trade talk and trade action, we'll go ahead and do something Thursday afternoon. And then obviously we're going to be here for the major simulcast that we'll be doing. Mahalo as well, BZ. Absolutely. Mahalo, Gerald and Joe. Yeah, there you go. Absolutely. I love the islands. Oh my gosh. Hawaii is just, man, I just would love to be there.
I'm planning to be there beginning of August. Beginning of August. Don't know if I'm going to go back to Kauai again. We might go to Maui this time, but we'll find out soon.
Kauai is just devastatingly beautiful. It's just so awesome, man. Stop it! Hawaii, don't do Hawaii talk around me. Oh my gosh, I miss it even more. All right, shaka bra, everyone. Have a good evening, and we'll see you maybe tomorrow, but definitely on Thursday for the NBA draft.